oh man, do I have a story for you guys. First of all, welcome back YouTube to another video. The point of this video is to go ahead and clear up the air. It's not actually to stir up some drama, even though I know it's gonna stir up some drama between me and some people in the car community. But like I said, I'm pretty tired of people only hearing one side of the story, so I feel like this is my chance to go ahead and share with you guys the experience that went behind me stealing some wheels. So to start things off, if you guys are wondering why I'm making this video, it's because people continue to comment on my YouTube channel, continue to comment on my Instagram posts saying, oh, I'm a thief and people shouldn't support me because I stole wheels. So let me go ahead and give you guys the context of that scenario. So this whole wheel deal actually happened 2 years ago. I don't understand or know why people continue to bring it up when this is literally something that happened 2 years ago. But basically, this whole situation happened 2 years ago when I was actually looking for a full 4 OEM chrome set of rims for the Supra. Now, at the time, I was barely getting into the car community. I was about 16 and a half or 17 years old. I was in the works of fixing up the Supra, and I wanted to make it look nice. I was able to go ahead and get connected with some pages on Facebook. The main platform for me when it came to information and help was NorCal Supras. And like I said, I was a pretty young guy. I didn't really know much when it came to cars. Still don't know everything, but I entered or I requested to join that group in hopes that I would be able to go ahead and learn from some of the people that, obviously are more experienced with the cars already, who have owned the cars for years. And so I went out and I did that. So, through the months, I began to, ask questions on the forums, began to ask questions on the actual Facebook page, and, hoping that people would go ahead and help me out when it came to information. And if I'm being completely honest, my experience, at least like 60%, 70% of the time, really wasn't the best. I have nothing really against the NorCal Supra community. There are people within the actual Supra community that aren't exactly the most social people. In my opinion, I feel like Supra owners feel very entitled, and that's honestly something that I've never really liked. It's something that I was raised against, entitlement. Growing up, my parents always taught me that it was always better to be humble, and it's always better to just recognize that, anything can be gone in an instant. I know there's been times where I slip up. There have been times where, maybe I became that Supra owner who was, flaunting his car. I know it happened in high school, but, after trial and error as I go through life, I realized, what, I could lose this car at any moment, just like I did when I was 16. I crashed the car and all of a sudden I didn't have a Supra to go ahead and drive. My experience with NorCal Supras, or at least the Facebook group, it was neutral. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was negative, because there were a lot of people within the Supra community that were willing to be like mentors and help me out and give me step-by-step builds. But on top of that, there were also people who were very, rude, very mean, jerkish type of people. And I feel like that's just, within every type of car community. I'm pretty sure they have that, within the Integra community, within the Civic community, or the RX-7 community. I'm pretty sure there's always going to be people who are going to be a little just more rude and feel a little more entitled than the rest of, the people within the community. But my experience with them wasn't really all that great. But other than that, basically, when I went onto the page one day, I went and asked the question, and I said, what, does anybody have an OEM set of chrome rims for a twin turbo Supra that they are selling? That post later, got a lot of comments, people telling me, hey, what, like, I'll sell this, maybe I don't have these rims, but I have these if you're interested. And, but at that time, I was very selective when it came to my rims. So I really wanted the OEM chrome set simply because I felt like it looked the nicest, and with the color that I was originally going to go and paint the car, I just felt like it was going to be nice. I really have always appreciated the stock look on a Supra, so that's where I wanted to keep it at. Later on in that discussion or that thread, somebody commented saying that, what, I have a good deal on some chrome wheels if you want to go ahead and DM me. So I went and DM'd them. They later told me that they would be willing to go ahead and sell me a chrome set of wheels for a decent price because, or not even a decent price, it was honestly a really good price. It was almost way too good to be true. And you know, for that price, he said, you know what, I want to go ahead and help out a youngster within the car community that, you know, is trying to grow. So I said, okay, you know what, like, that's cool. At the time, he was on vacation, so I had to wait about a month until he got back for me to actually go ahead and pick up the wheels. But once he came back, I went ahead and sent him a message, and we came up with a deal that he was going to sell me all 4 wheels with tires for $300. Obviously, with that, there were some catches to the deal. So some of those catches consisted of the chrome wheels were peeling just a little bit. There was some curb rash. And on top of that, the tires that were being sold with the rims were actually 12 years old. Me currently working at a tire shop, I obviously know that after 10 years, a tire is no longer good and is no longer considered safe. At the time, I didn't know that, so I decided, yeah, you know what, I'll go ahead and take the tires and the rims. You know what, I'm getting a good deal, $300, 4 rims, 4 tires, it'll work out. Within the conversations that we had on Messenger on Facebook, he specifically had said, if you are going to go ahead and mount these rims onto your car, I recommend buying new tires because these tires are 12 years old and they wouldn't be considered safe. Me taking the advice from somebody who's been in the game a lot longer than I have, I said, okay, that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and dispose of those tires because obviously they are unsafe, and I'm going to go ahead and mount the ones that I currently have since all the rims are the same size anyway. So I drove out all the way 2.5 hours out to Brentwood from where I live. I drove 2.5 hours to go ahead and pick up the rims and the tires, and I met up with the guy. We made the exchange. I gave him my $300. He gave me all 4 wheels. I mounted them into my Supra somehow, and then I drove all the way back straight to a shop where I was going to go ahead and balance them and mount them up. At this shop, jacked up my car, pulled the tires off, pulled the rims off, got the new set of rims, mounted them onto the balancer, and all of a sudden I found out that these rims would not balance out because they had a very bad wobble in them. Obviously, something was up. When I went to go ahead and talk to the mechanic that was at the shop, he told me, you know what, these rims are bent and there's no way that I'd be able to fully cancel out the actual balancing on it, so I don't think that it's safe for you to go ahead and be driving them. So then I went ahead and took those off, and I said, you know what, I have 1 chrome rim already, so maybe I can just use that one and, you know, replace this one that's bad. But when we went to go ahead and balance the other 3, 2 of the other ones were also bent. And I said, you know what, this is kind of messed up. The seller had promised me that these were in perfect condition, that he had taken them off his Supra after like 2 years of driving them, or less than that. It was less than that. And he had promised me that they were perfect rims. But obviously, telling by the balancer, they weren't. We did try to balance it out, but, you know, obviously still had that wobble. When you have a bent wheel, it's going to wobble no matter how much weight you put on it. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and give the seller a call. When I sent the seller a message saying, hey, is it okay if I call you? They said they didn't want me to call them, and they said, what's going on? And they had me continue to just message them on Messenger. At that time, I felt kind of sketchy because I was like, you know what, like, why is it so bad for me to call you? But I played along with it, and I talked to them, let them know that, you know what, these rims are bent, and they, you know, said that I was BSing, that it was false information, that, you know, the wheels were perfect, and that there's no way that those wheels could have been bent. And, you know, I just was kind of upset because obviously I drove out 2.5 hours to go ahead and pick up these rims. They had promised me that they were perfect, and they turned out not to be that way. I basically ended up asking for my money back. I said, you know what, is there any way I can take these rims back and you give me my money back because these are not what you had promised me? The owner or seller ends up telling me, you know what, usually my sales are final, but I will go ahead and give you the deal of only giving you $250 back if I let you return the wheels, because apparently I was wasting their time. Last time we had talked out, he told me to go ahead and meet him up at this gas station because it was very close to his house. I was the one driving 2.5 hours, yet I was the one that was wasting his time. So obviously that upset me, and I told him, I was like, dude, like, I'm the one that's having to drive out there, so I don't feel like it's fair that I'm out here wasting my gas and you're accusing me of wasting your time because you have to drive 10 minutes to a gas station while I have to drive 2.5 hours with wheels that you had promised me were perfect. Later on in the day, he texts me a few hours later and says, how about we make another deal? I'll send $100 back, you can keep the wheels, and sell them to somebody else. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I find that very disrespectful. The simple fact that these rims are bad, they're bent, and I had told him that, and yet he still doesn't want to deal with them. So he tells me, I'll give you $100 back and then you can sell them to make more profit. I've never been the type of person to cheat somebody out of something like that. So I was like, dude, like, no, like, we're sticking to the original $250 deal, and that's it. Because I'm not going to be the person who knows that something's wrong with a certain piece or a certain part of a car and sell it to somebody else. The last time that I sold something to another Supra owner, it was the Ridox body kit or front bumper that I originally had on the Supra. And I let him know straight off the bat. I said, you know what? Honestly, it didn't fit on my car. And it has some cracks and some damage from, you know, obviously scraping because the bumper was pretty low. The Supra owner came, picked it up, and the first thing I told him was, if it doesn't fit the way you want it to, go ahead and let me know and I will return your money. Why? Because I'm not the type of person to try to go ahead and cheat somebody out of something when I know that it's wrong. So I found it very disrespectful from this original Supra owner, or this OG Supra owner, as a lot of the Supra owners that don't like me call him, for him to say, you know what, go ahead and keep the wheels, I'll give you $100 and then you can sell them to somebody else so that they can go ahead and deal with it. I found that completely disrespectful, but at the end of the day, I decided, no, dude, like, I'm going to go ahead and get my money back, even if it's just the $250, and I don't really care, because that's honestly all I'm really interested in, and you can go ahead and deal with these wheels, because I'm not going to go ahead and sell them to somebody and cheat somebody out for something that, you know, they honestly don't deserve. Like, if you're going to promise something that's perfect, if you're going to promise something that's good, if you're going to sell something, make sure that it's good and it's worth it, because it's really disrespectful and it's really messed up if you're going to go ahead and sell something that's broken to somebody else. The next day comes by, and obviously my Supra was very crowded with all the wheels, and I really didn't want to take my car again. So I hit up my friend and I said, hey dude, you know what, is it cool if you come with me tomorrow? You know, let's take your truck so I can mount up these wheels into the back, and you know, we can go ahead and take it down to Brentwood and go ahead and return these wheels. And he said, yeah, that's fine. At the time, I also had my cousin sleeping over, so you know what, I said, you know what, I can't obviously leave my cousin here at home while I'm out all day. So my friend, my cousin, and I got in the truck. We went over to Brentwood to go ahead and make the exchange. Once I got there, I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of make a scene, because I told him, I was like, you know what, dude, like, you had promised me that, you know, these wheels were going to be perfect, and I don't think it's fair that you're only going to give me $250 when I'm the one that has to drive all the way over here and then drive all the way back, because apparently I'm wasting your time. So I made a big deal about it, and I said, you know what, dude, either you return all of my money back, or I can go ahead and call the police. They can come and settle this, because I have messages of you guaranteeing me that these were perfect, that these wheels were going to work, and they're obviously not what you had told me they were going to be. We ended up coming down to the agreement that he was going to give me $290 back, and that, you know, he was going to keep $10 for whatever fee he wanted to go ahead and call it. There was one catch when it came to the exchange, or when it came to the return, and I feel like this is where everybody misunderstands and says that I scammed this guy out of some wheels. When I returned the rims, I only returned the rims. Like I said, I already know how this works because I work at a tire shop, but these tires were way too old to go ahead and mount back onto the rims. Legally, we at my shop are not allowed to mount on tires that are past 10 years because it is a safety hazard. So when I was at that shop, they told me, you know what, we can go ahead and get rid of these tires, or we can go ahead and just give them to you. And I said, you know what, like, these tires, there's no point in me keeping them, because at the end of the day, they're 12 years old. Now, the funny thing is, once I get there, that's the first thing he notices. He says, where are my tires? And I said, well, those tires were 12 years old. The shop recommended for me to dispose of them because they weren't safe and they were a safety hazard to be on the road. The original seller gets extremely upset, which I completely understand, right? I mean, if you go ahead and buy shoes from Nike and you return them without laces, obviously Nike's not going to accept them. So he was making that big dilemma, saying he didn't want to accept them because they weren't the original product that he had sold to me. But what really surprised me was when he looked at me and said, well, you should have given me those tires back, because what if I could have sold them to somebody else who wanted them? Those tires were 12 years old. Safety hazard. Any car enthusiast with the right mind would know that you do not put 12-year-old tires on a car. This guy is supposed to be a very OG guy in the community, in the car enthusiast community. And he was already willing to have me sell busted rims to somebody else. And now he wanted his tires back because he could have sold his 12-year-old tires to somebody else and made some money off of it. I didn't know how to feel at that point, because I was like, wow, like, you know, I'm a young guy in the car community, and I know not to sell busted stuff to somebody. I know not to cheat somebody. I know what it is to sell something for its actual value and for its worth. I'm not going to sit here and lie. When he originally gave me the deal and the offer, $300 for 4 wheels and 4 tires, it was a good deal. It really was. And there's nothing that I could have beat out of that. But, you know, the way that this guy portrayed himself and the way that he made it seem was like, you know what, I don't care about what you think about, you know, what these things are worth. I could have sold them to somebody else. Somebody else could have done whatever they wanted with them, you know, but it's just, when it comes to safety, that's just something that really shouldn't be messed with, especially when it comes to the safety of other people. He ended up just giving me my money back. So he gave me, I think, $280 or $290. I forgot what it was because, like I said, it was 2 years ago. And at this point, for me, it's irrelevant. But he gave me my money back, and I gave him his rims, and then we went our separate ways. Within a few hours, I got a message from tons of Supra owners saying a bunch of things to me, saying that I was a thief, that I was nothing, that I was a waste of space, I was a waste of time, that if they saw my Supra on the street, that they were going to go ahead and damage it, that they were going to do certain things. I was, you know, like, what the heck, why? And then I got some, you know, messages from other Supra owners asking, hey, you know, what's going on between you and, you know, this person and on NorCal Supras? And I was like, well, what are you talking about? And I tried to go ahead and log on to NorCal Supras, or I tried to go onto the page, and I had been removed. One of those Supra owners later screenshots a post and sent it to me where this seller had said that I had scammed him for his wheels. When I showed up to make the exchange, I showed up with 2 bodyguards. Keep in mind, my friend was 17 at the time, and my cousin was 16 at the time, so I don't exactly know what type of bodyguards he was talking about. But he made this huge post saying that I had scammed him for his wheels, and that all I was going to do was, you know, take his rims, and then I returned the rims just so that I could go ahead and keep his tires. Those tires were 12 years old. I wouldn't keep them, and the shop that I had left them at disposed of them because they weren't good. Why would I keep 12-year-old tires and risk one of them blowing on me? I mean, it's a stupid... It was a stupid post. It was a stupid idea for this guy to go ahead and think that I scammed him for his tires. And I feel like it was just ridiculous at the fact that he wanted those tires because he wanted to sell them to somebody else. That's my take on it. At the end of the day, people are still going to say, you know what, well, you still should have returned the tires with the rims. You still should have done that because, like I said, you know, it was the product that he sold to me, and that's how I should have exchanged it back, or that's how I should have returned it. You know, when a shop tells you, you know what, we can go ahead and get rid of these for free, or, you know, we can give them back to you, but we're not going to mount them on, and I'm not going to go ahead and mount those tires back into, you know, whatever car or the truck or my Supra when obviously they're not going to, you know, fully fit. When it comes to the whole experience in itself, I'm not going to sit here and lie. There were some things that I could have done better. Honestly, I could have been more respectful when I went and made the exchange again. I also could have, you know, I could have just packed up the tires and returned them, you know, the same way that I had bought them. But I personally felt very disrespected, and I didn't like the way that I was being talked to, and I was being talked down to by this owner within the Supra community. Said I already didn't have the best experiences when it came to other Supra owners, and the simple fact that, you know, this guy was, you know, basically saying, you know, he wanted all these busted parts to go ahead and sell to other people, I found, you know, very eye-opening and very sad, actually. What I also found very disrespectful was the whole post in itself, because, you know, he obviously shared his part of the story, but not once did he share screenshots when it came to our conversations. Not once did he mention that he was going to sell me perfect rims. Not once did he mention that I was driving 2.5 hours to go ahead and pick up these rims while he was driving 10 to 15 minutes away from his own house. So obviously there were a lot of people that didn't know the full story, and honestly I just ended up taking the hate because I said, you know what, there's nothing really that I can do. I already got kicked out of NorCal Supras. Nobody's going to want to hear my side of the story, so why am I going to go ahead and take the time to go ahead and try to explain it? And then months later, about 7 to 8 months later, somebody made a huge post about me on Instagram and decided to go ahead and share that post to a bunch of different people within Facebook groups, within Instagram groups, talking crap about me, saying that, you know, I was a thief, that nobody should support me, that I was a waste of time, like I said, you know, saying all these messed up things And, you know, I try not to take it to heart, but at that point I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and share my side of the story. So I took every single screenshot of our conversation with the original seller. I posted it onto Supra's Worldwide on Facebook, and I shared my whole post. I wrote everything out, and, you know, it stayed on for a day, and then some of the friends of the original seller and some of the admin that were friends with the seller took my post down. Some people were able to go ahead and read that post and get things cleared up. I had a lot of comments apologizing to me, saying, you know, I'm sorry that I judged you. I didn't know about this information. I didn't see this conversation that you guys had. I didn't know that he made this promise. And it meant a lot to me that people, you know, were apologizing because, like I said, a lot of the people that know about the situation only know about the seller's perspective, and they never asked for my opinion. They never asked for my side of the story. And for me to go ahead and share that, showing screenshots and showing proof of what he was willing to do and what he had promised me, it meant a lot. But it also sucks that that post got taken down because, like I said, you know, I guess people just don't want to go ahead and understand or realize the truth. At the end of the day, you know, that seller is still out there, and he still is, you know, very loved within the Supra community because he's an OG and original from, you know, the Supra. He's one of the first Mark IV Supra owners or whatever. I don't really care, to be honest. But it sucks that, you know, it comes down to the fact that it's one of them against, you know, somebody who's young, who's trying to just grow and develop within the car community, and it's his word against mine. But I'm making this video because I wanted to go ahead and clear up the air with you guys because, like I said, I still get comments till this day, and it's been almost 2.5 years. I'm currently 19, and like I said, I made this deal when I was like 16 and a half or 17. And it sucks that, you know, 2.5 years later, people are still tripping about some stuff. Like, tires wouldn't have even lasted that long, in my opinion, especially those. If you guys ever see comments when it comes to like, oh, how are your rims or how are your tires, that's usually the people that are, you know, commenting to go ahead and try to get me upset because they're bringing up that deal that happened. In my last video, somebody commented saying that I stole wheels from, you know, people, and, you know, it's annoying at this point. Like, if I can get over it, and if I can forgive the dude for selling me busted wheels and for making me false promises, for getting me kicked out of NorCal Supras, for giving me a bad rep, if I can forgive him for all of that, then you know what, like, I don't get why certain people are still tripping about something that happened 2 to 2.5 years ago. I'm gonna go ahead and take the time to just publicly announce it to you guys. So I mean, because why not, right? If I've ever offended any of you guys within the car community, or I've ever done any of you guys wrong, and to all the Supra owners that, you know, I may have disrespected in the past or said things to, or even the Supra owner that, you know, originally sold me those wheels, I want to go ahead and take this time to publicly announce and say, you know what, I apologize for the way that I treated you guys. I'm sorry, you know, that, you know, things didn't work out the way they did, and I'm sorry that, you know, I disrespected you guys the way that I disrespected you. But I also want you guys to know that I forgive you guys for the way that you guys treated me, for the things that you guys have said to me, and for, you know, everything that has been done on your guys' end. I just want to let you guys know that I forgive you guys. But like I said, this is my side of the story, and I'm hoping that this cleared up some air when it comes to some of you guys who may have changed your perspective or changed your view of me because you heard some things from another party or from another perspective. So I'm hoping that this clears up the air just a little bit, and you guys understand that it has never been my intention to go ahead and cheat somebody out of a deal. I did not end up keeping those tires. I had to dispose of them because, like I said, they were 12 years old. And you know what, if I could go ahead and, you know, go back in time and do things right, I honestly would have returned those tires with those rims the same way that they were sold to me. So I just want to go ahead and take the time to apologize to anybody who may have, you know, been affected by this inconvenience. But, you know, it's in the past for me, so this is where I'm going to go ahead and drop it. This is the last time that I will be explaining it, and this will be the last time that I will take the time to go ahead and talk about it because, like I said, it's in the past, and to me, it's just done with. Hoping that this clears up the air. You know what? Just to the Supra community, I just want to go ahead and say thank you guys. For those of you guys who have taken the time to go ahead and help me out, those of you guys who have been taking the time to go ahead and reply to my threads, my questions, who have been giving me advice, thank you guys so much. Honestly, appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. For those of you guys who take the time to go ahead and help me out, you know, when I know nothing, when I don't know as much as you guys. So thank you guys so much. And, you know, for those of you guys who don't exactly like me within the Supra community, or just don't like me in the car community at all, I hope that, you know, this clears up some air, and I hope that you guys understand that, you know what, I'm just trying my best to go ahead and learn as I go, and I hope that, you know, if I've ever offended you guys, that you guys can go ahead and forgive me. this is where I'm going to go ahead and end this video, because like I said, I feel like I've talked enough. And to be honest, I don't even feel like a lot of you guys will go ahead and make it to the end of this video, because you guys will probably get bored of me talking. But this is where I'm going to go ahead and end it. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to go ahead and watch this. If you guys did go ahead and finish it, and I hope that this clears up the air for a lot of you guys. And I hope this opens your guys' eyes that there's always more than one side of the story. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and end the vlog. Just remember to go ahead and stay up, stay tuned, and peace out, guys. Till next time.